Subnautica is a classic and a phenomenon. Even though from time to time we see an indie game pop out massively, it still doesn't happen that often, considering how many of them get released. To see an exploration game blow up like that, that's especially rare. I will tell you why the game is so good, and how I think Subnautica hits the absolute peak of exploration. Wait, isn't it a survival game? Survival here is important, that's true, but in my opinion it's more of a flavor than the core of the experience. Just like the majority of games today have some form of RPG elements, like unlocking skills for your character, without being strictly RPG titles. Similarly, in Subnautica, hunger and thirst push you forward through the first half of the game and create immersion. However, at some point your base upgrades and one of the vehicles make the survival pretty much vestigial. Exploration, however, stays as the #1 game loop during most of your playthrough. Alright, so we start the game and leave the escape pod. What do we see?
Must be the water.
Let's add that to the Words of Wisdom.
In short, the vast and beautiful environment we'll soon explore. The handcrafted biomes are often eye candy. In comparison to games that generate the world procedurally, like Starfield, Subnautica offers more distinctive landmarks and memorable locations. That makes orientation easier, and the crater itself a far more interesting place. The same goes for the plants and animals you find. They are very distinctive, alien, and simply pleasant to look at.
It is your primary directive to swim closer to that appears to full creature.
Finding new biomes feels by itself like a reward for the effort of venturing further and deeper. It creates a bit more elusive aspect of gameplay friction and gratification, relying a lot on the sense of aesthetics of the player, but it certainly is there. This deserves a shout out for the Unknown Worlds art team, as without the quality art style it wouldn't be possible. There is also no classic world map, and that's intentional. The only maps you have available only show your surroundings up to about 500 meters max. Instead, Subnautica teaches you how to recognize landmarks and biomes and how they are connected to each other. It's a nice alternative to a 2D surface with a puke of markers. The devs actually respected the player and resisted the urge to mark every point of interest in fear you might miss it. I appreciate that. In the beginning, the key locations are marked, but further down the road, the game gives you clues and makes you look for stuff by yourself instead. In this situation, every tip is valuable because the world is big. It's well over 3 kilometers in diameter. That maybe doesn't sound as much, but we move in 3 dimensions, not just 2, so there is a fair share of verticality too. We'll have to go really deep in order to finish the story after all. Okay, so we're in this beautiful world. What do we do? As I mentioned, at first survival mechanics matter the most. You gather food, find water, manage oxygen, then you start searching for fragments, gathering materials and building tools. Things that will help you gather more resources, move faster and search for stuff more efficiently. This is how the gameplay loop begins. Explore, collect, build, explore more. Radio messages guide you, but eventually your next destination is too deep. And that's when Subnautica becomes truly unique. The main obstacle isn't hostile NPCs, it's the environment. The radiation, broken doors. To go further, you need tools, not weapons. While it's possible to kill hostile creatures, it's not worth it. The game encourages you to sneak through, evade and run, not attack. To get better tools, you need to scan fragments or find data boxes. And to do that, you explore. The better your gear gets, the more curious you become. It's not just about where the game sends you, but also what you have, especially vehicles. When you finally build them, your research range expands dramatically. And each one has its own unique role. The Seamoth is fast, nimble and provides oxygen. It becomes your workhorse, especially in the early game. The Prawn, on the other hand, feels like a walking tank. It's heavy, a bit clunky, but ideal for deep dives and mining. And also role-playing as a Spider-Man when using grapple hooks. But the last one, Cyclops, is my favorite. I love the concept of a mobile base. It was, and still is, a relatively fresh concept. We don't see stuff like that often in games, even though it blends mechanics, immersion and freedom so well. It combines the cool factor of a giant vehicle you control with the practicality of a mobile vehicle bay, as it can carry either the Seamoth or the Prawn with it. On top of that, it serves as a place where you can grow food, store resources, craft, rest and simply feel safe. It's also worth noting that the level design accommodates vehicle really well. Even enclosed spaces later in the game, like Lost River, are big enough to use our mobile base. It also has another incredible positive side effect. It contributes to the atmosphere a lot. Subnautica Below Zero failed to achieve that, and I missed it. However, armed with technology, you keep going deeper. You don't just find logs and recordings, you pay attention where they were left. Environmental storytelling is just important as the PDAs. Wrecks and abandoned bases give the context to the words. The Degasi bases are the perfect example. The first one is on the surface and relatively intact. Then you find another one underwater, flooded in a more dangerous area. The last one is deep and heavily damaged, sitting in the darkness after an attack that the PDAs mention. At this point, you have probably built your own base. That's when the survival takes the backseat. However, the exploration stays. Now it's just the story and the curiosity that push you forward. The depths make you feel uneasy, at danger. However, jumpscares here are scarce and unscripted, which I like a lot. They happen mostly organically when you get surprised by the hostile animals. At this point, a Reaper grabbing your Seamoth is one of the iconic moments in gaming. I feel like it was unintended, but that's how happy accidents happen. But what makes Subnautica scary most of the time is the silhouettes moving at the edge of your vision. The roar of a leviathan in the distance. It's really atmospheric without using cheap moves. And these elements interweaving make discovering this place so good. Great tools facilitating discovery, beautiful world supported by an intrigue in the background, and immersive survival mechanics fitting the story's context. Together, they create a true masterpiece of exploration. And if you enjoyed this video and want to explore my future ones, feel invited to leave a sub. Ciao!